Here I'm talking about a particular two types of progymnosmata exercises, Chreia and commonplace. And I have explained to you in another screencast how progymnosmata exercises are exercises that are heuristics, that you are going to use a series of instructions or questions to think about something in a specific way. So Chreia is one heuristic, commonplace is another heuristic, and we'll have more after that. There's one thing that I want you to take away from this screencast, if nothing else, and that is these exercises are not about the final product as much as they are about the process. So if you're someone who has said, or has thought, I'm trying to do this exercise, but I don't know if I'm doing it the right way, or if I don't know if what I produced is right. I want you to try to push back on your own thinking. That's something that we all want to make sure we're doing something right, especially when we're going to be assessed on it, graded on it. But these exercises are not about doing something right or wrong. They're really about discovery, like I talked about in the first exercise. Heuristics as a way to discover something. So, and I also said at the beginning of our class that these exercises are about trying something new, trying something different, trying something that feels really unfamiliar, but doing so in a way where you might enjoy it and you might have a little bit of fun. So, you know, what I'm asking you to do is sort of suspend your hope that you're going to produce the perfect final product for these progymnosmata exercises, because I don't have one in mind. I can see if you are giving it some effort. I can see if you're trying to follow the model in the textbook of the heuristic. And if you are trying to do that, it might be really interesting or it might not be interesting, but you're going to get your credit for trying. Okay, so let me talk just about the two most recent progymnosmata exercises. The first one being Chreia. Some of you were pretty confused by this one. So let me try to explain it to you like this. Uh, the subject of your Chreia is something that is, I would call it condensed. It's just like if you have a can of condensed soup, all the water's been taken out. So to the subject of your Chreia, some image or some idea or some saying where the importance of the image is in how it's been condensed into just one sentence or one idea or one historical moment that's kind of mythical, like George Washington chopping down the cherry tree. What is the meaning of that historical event, that story that we tell, that you learn in elementary school? Well, it can have a lot of different meanings. We can kind of pull it apart or unpack it and mine it for all of the different meanings that are there. A pithy or short, condensed, meaningful statement is like, you know, the phrase "justice is blind." We can think about what that means and why we might apply that in society, why that might be valuable, but we don't talk about all those things when we bring up the instance of George Washington cutting down the cherry tree, or we say justice is blind. We just refer to the symbol, which is the phrase or that image of that story. So Chreia is a way for us to systematically unpack or pull apart all of the different things that are going on with that image or that saying or whatever the condensed subject is. So I like to think of taffy. If you've ever seen one of those candy stores where they're making taffy and they start with something that's kind of small and they pull it and pull it and pull it and pull it until it gets stretchier and stretchier, and then there's more taffy than when they started because they pull it apart. So for Chreia, this is right off page 53 in the book. The heuristic part of this is that you're being asked to do very specific things. You begin with that praise or that image or whatever it is, and then the next step is to explain it. You actually just say it in your own words. What's going on? What is your explanation? What's your paraphrase? Summarize. And then the next step is to supply a reason. Why do you think that this action or this saying is it exists? What's the reason for it? And so on and so forth. So you use those heuristics just to kind of, do that taffy pulling, if you will, on that idea. So the finished product isn't going to be, it's not going to look like an essay like you would turn in if you were asked to write an essay with the title, or with the prompt, what is the meaning of George Washington chopping down the cherry tree? What's the meaning of that tradition? Or what's the meaning of that story or that legend? This is going to look totally different because the focus is not on a tidy, cohesive end product. It's about asking you to think about something in a really explicit and formulaic way using a heuristic, those sets of instructions, so that you think about things that you wouldn't otherwise think about in relation to that image or that saying. So similarly, for commonplace, what we're doing here is, well, first, what we did in Chreia is we're looking at one instance, one specific particular saying, or one specific particular person, or one specific particular legend or story. With commonplace, we're kind of doing something slightly different. The reason it's called commonplace is because we're looking at types of things or categories of things. And what you're being asked to do in these exercises is to think of people in particular who are doing something good or something bad, and you have your particular assignment depending on what class you're in for which of these two prompts on page 117 you're going to use. But so for example, the second option, compose a commonplace extolling the virtues of the following. The first option is someone who gives money to those in need. You're not asked to think of a particular instance. You're not thinking about Bill Gates. This is, if we might talk about Bill Gates in terms of Chreia, because we could kind of unpack Bill Gates as a like, what does Bill Gates mean? I mean, he brings a lot of associations to mind when we say Bill Gates. He's done a lot of philanthropic work with his wife. In this exercise, we think of Bill Gates. We think of someone that you might know, who's someone in the community who has given money to something that you support. You think of this category in general. That's why it's a commonplace. You're thinking of the commonalities. And then you follow the heuristic prompts that start on the bottom of page 115 and go to the top of page 117, and you do that taffy pulling exercise. You think about, for example, on page 116, what is something in contrast with this category. So contrast for someone who gives money to those in need is someone who refuses to do so. So what can you say about that? You would use the example and the explanation in the textbook to think about that category. What is the intention of someone in this category who does this, and so on and so forth. So again, it's not going to, the end result is not going to be an essay about one particular person. It's going to be your meditation. I used that in a little bit last week. These exercises can be a meditation, a space where you're just conceptually working through and writing about whatever the subject is. And for commonplace, it is one of those types of people who do something virtuous, or one of the types of people who do something that is regrettable. So hopefully that helps explain things. If you have more questions, you can let me know, but you can also just give this your best shot and bring it to class, and we can talk about what I've said here and the exercises, and you can let me know what other questions you have. Okay, good luck, and try to have some fun with this. It should be maybe a place where you can try a different voice, a different style of writing, just kind of let loose a little bit and not feel like there's any right or wrong answer. So you can experiment and have fun. Okay, thanks.